Research the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, its aftermath, as well as news and other trending developments in Practical Guidance, Tax. On December 22, 2017, then-President Trump signed into law the most sweeping piece of tax legislation we've seen in years, which took effect on New Year's Day, 2018. In response, Practical Guidance added the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 Resource Kit to the tax practice area, containing a variety of explanatory, analytical materials and model forms for customer use. Search Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 Resource Kit in the search box at the top to locate the resource kit. You may also navigate to tools and resources appearing on the right side of the practice area's screen and then navigate to Resource Kits, opening View All, then scroll to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 Resource Kit. The Resource Kit begins with 4 practice notes with Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in the title. These practice notes analyze and explain the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The first practice note is a 130-page analysis of the entire law called Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, an analysis. The next several practice notes focus on the international tax provisions of the Act, its estate and gift tax provisions, and provides business planning provisions. The international articles are written by leading tax authors who write for Matthew Bender treatises, for example, by Rufus Rhodes, author of the LexisTax multi-volume treatise Rhodes and Langer, U.S. International Taxation and Tax Treaties. The business planning article was written by Jared Blanchard of Baker & McKenzie, one of the authors of our seminal treatise appearing in LexisTax, Federal Income Taxation of Corporations Filing Consolidated Returns. Beginning in August 2018, the U.S. Treasury began issuing regulations, first proposed and then final, explaining key provisions of the Act. To date and in response, we've added 13 separate analyses to our resource kit of these proposed or final regulations. They appear near the bottom of the table of contents, beginning with Toll Tax, Proposed IRC Section 965 Regulations Explained. Each analysis explains a different set of regulations and provides hypothetical examples of how they operate in the real world. Another key component to understanding and applying the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and Practical Guidance Tax generally is to stay abreast of current developments. Practical Guidance Tax also addresses key legal developments on the federal level in our Tax Key Legal Developments Tracker, Federal. You can locate the Tax Key Legal Developments Tracker, Federal, by searching the term or by going to the Trends and Insights task in the Topics and Tasks found on the Practical Guidance Tax page. You can also find the tracker in a search or by navigating to the tracker's icon appearing on the right side of the Practical Guidance Tax Practice Area page, clicking Trackers, then navigating to the Tax Key Legal Developments Tracker, Federal. This tax tracker reports key legal news in the federal space, in multiple categories starting with business entities. The tracker is arranged in reverse chronological order and identifies the current development, the affected code section or sections, the date of and/or the effective date of the development, and identifies related content, which often includes articles featured in our Trends and Insights section, as well as relevant practice notes. Conduct your research on Tax Cuts and Jobs Act content, along with trending news developments in Practical Guidance Tax.